Now, the worst flooding in almost 100 years has hit Russia and Kazakhstan, forcing the evacuation of more than 100,000 people. The flooding in the Urals and western Siberia has been caused by unseasonably warm temperatures, which has melted snow. In the Russian city of Orenburg, home to 500,000 people, water levels have reached dangerous levels. Thousands have left the city. Our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg gave us this assessment of the flooding.
In places, Orenburg is a city submerged. Roads turned into rivers by the worst flooding here in living memory. Evacuation underway is the message for anyone still living here. All the houses are flooded, says the local mayor. He's sailing down the streets, surveying the devastation. Spring floods are common in Russia, but not on this scale. It's thought the combination of heavy rain and rapidly melting snow in warm weather caused rivers to burst their banks. In Orenburg, thousands have left their homes or been helped to leave by emergency services and by volunteers. Everything was dry yesterday, she says. The water came at night, so fast. They've been rescuing pets too that were stranded by the deluge of meltwater. And look what damage it's done inside the houses. The floating fridge, a reminder of the destructive power of water. And flooding has affected towns and villages across the Ural Mountains and western Siberia. Beyond Russia too. This is neighbouring Kazakhstan. Here, 100,000 people have been evacuated from the flood zone. Meanwhile, other Russian regions are preparing for flooding as water levels continue to rise. Steve Rosenberg, BBC News, Moscow.
Now, a farmer from Lincolnshire whose land has been flooded for months says he was shocked to learn that he isn't eligible for any compensation.
Applications opened this week for farmers to apply for money from the government's Food Recovery Fund. Now, the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs says it's looking at how it can expand the scheme, as our reporter Paul Murphy explains.
So this shed is literally as it was on the day I left the farm on the 3rd of January.
He's known as Britain's most flooded farmer, but it seems Henry Ward isn't flooded to the government's requirements. He's been told that most of his farm to the east of Lincoln, which is still surrounded by water, is in the wrong location for a support payment.
I felt physically sick when I found out that we're not going to be eligible for this money here. We are literally the most famous flooded farm in the country. We've made global headlines, yet I've been told I'm not eligible. And when I found that out yesterday, I literally felt sick, cross, angry, let down, and I just felt I've just been forgotten about.
Since October and the downpours of Storm Babette, this is what Henry's farm has looked like. It flooded when the bank collapsed on a nearby river. But that river is not designated as a major watercourse. So this area doesn't qualify for grants of up to £25,000 from the government.
Does it surprise you that they've not been more conscious that you are a special case, and a unique case?
I literally can't believe it. I stood on the bridge near the Tirret Arms pub with the chairman of the Environment Agency, the Minister for Flooding, NFU President, looking at 2,000 acres of land with 2 metres of water on it. It didn't even cross my mind that I wouldn't be eligible for this money.
But also there's the ongoing issues here is crop loss, because you've lost your winter crop, you're not going to get a spring crop in, that's just this year.
Correct.
Implications on capital value.
Absolutely.
And here is Robbie Moore, the flooding minister, meeting with Henry back in January, keen to show him that he understood what was going on here. This is why Henry Ward is so baffled by today's government funding snub.
I feel like I'm living in some sort of nightmare. 25,000 peanuts anyway, and then just to be told that I'm not eligible. I just never dreamt that this would be here. So you can see the water level that the flood water came to in this straw shed.
Henry Ward is entitled to a small payment for a parcel of land elsewhere that was flooded, but his main farm remains out of action, and his calls for government help continue to go unheeded. Paul Murphy, BBC News.